time for everybody's favorite segment of the week. It is mailbag time here on Seattle Seahawks Today. You guys get questions. I got answers. We're talking everything from free agency to the playoff picture. I'm sure we'll discuss the matchup with the 49ers. We'll answer all of your questions coming up in just a matter of moments. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. And before we go any further in today's show, want to make sure not only you're subscribed, but you also have your notifications turned on, that you're part of what we call the Noti Gang here on Seahawks Today. Those are the people that are the first to know when we have new content here on the channel, whether it's a live show or breaking news, and you get alerted. You get an alert on your phone that we got new stuff on the channel. So stay up to date with us. Join us for our next mailbag segment. We do these every Wednesday where we react to the questions in real time, and you can be a part of it too. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. We'll get going with today's show. We begin with Dan the Man Miller, the werewolf himself, with a $20 super chat. Says, do you think John Schneider is hanging himself with the horrible decisions he is making? I'm starting to lose faith in this season. Hanging himself's a bit dark. I wouldn't go quite that stretch, Dan, but I get where you're going here. I have more doubts in John Schneider right now than I ever have before. Here we are. It is officially year 3 of this rebuild in the post-Russell Wilson era. The first year was promising. You overachieved. You went 9-8 and made the playoffs. Second year, you were hoping to build upon the previous year, and you still went 9-8 and you missed the playoffs. And now here we are, and John Schneider's got his guy, Mike Macdonald. And I like Mike, don't get me wrong, but is anyone else noticing what Dan Quinn is doing in Washington right now? And he could have easily been the Seahawks head coach. Did they hire the wrong guy? I'm not going to say yes on that question, but I think it's a fair thing to ask. Did he hire the wrong guy at this point? I think it's worth at least mentioning. So that's something to think about. And then you see the way this year's unfolded. The offensive line in 2024 is not any better. In fact, it's actually much worse than it was at the start of the rebuild in 2022. And so that's not great. You spent all this money to bring in guys like Tyrel Dodson and Jerome Baker to try to retool this defense, and those guys are gone now. A lot of head scratchers of what John Schneider's done. And if they don't turn this thing around soon, John Schneider might be unemployed. I think that's a realistic possibility at this point in time. The hot seat is cooking for John Schneider. Cheverton with a $5 super chat. He writes, did Mike and Dodson have a dispute, and that's why he got released? Matthew also asked a similar question. Why in the hell did they get rid of Dodson? So the speculation is, and it is speculation, we haven't confirmed this at this point. It's a rumor. Imagine that. We talk rumors in this channel, folks. Is that Dodson was told after the bye week, even though you're our leading tackler and you're the green dot of our defense, you are getting benched. We are going with the rookie Tyrese Knight in your place. Granted, there's reason to be optimistic about what Tyrese Knight has done. Tyrese Knight, in the flashes that we've seen from him, he's looked pretty good. And Tyrel Dodson has been notorious for missing a lot of gaps and assignments from time to time, despite leading this team in tackles. So they go to Dodson. They say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to bench you. And Dodson says, I don't want to be benched. I want out of here. He demanded his release. And then he gets picked up on waivers by the Miami Dolphins, and the rest is history. And there's some of you that have said to me, Tyler, they couldn't have traded him. Nobody would have given up anything for him. And I said if they were going to move on from Dodson, they should have done so at the trade deadline. And for those of you that want to sit here and push this narrative that they could not have gotten anything from Tyrel Dodson, you are lying to yourself. You don't get picked up on waivers as quickly as he did by the Dolphins without there being some value to him. They could have traded him. This was a total whiff on the part of John Schneider and Mike Macdonald too, because this was Mike Macdonald's guy that he wanted in Tyrel Dodson. It was Mike Macdonald that didn't want to bring back Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks, that wanted better coverage linebackers and found Tyrel Dodson and Jerome Baker. Keep that in mind. I think that's an important detail here. So I don't agree with the decision. I understand if you want to bench Dodson, but I would have said, hey, look, we got another half of the season to go. You're only on a one-year contract, man. Shut the hell up and go to the bench, and we'll call you when we need you. The decision to release him, not to tell him to just suck it up, was a grave mistake on the part of the Seahawks here. Tito writes in, I do love me some Titos. Still needs some more tackle help. What about signing David Bakhtiari? I'm surprised that Bakhtiari is still available at this point. I thought he'd get picked up by now. At the time of this recording, he has not been picked up. But here's the thing, folks. What we see out of Abraham Lucas will tell us a lot. If Abe is fully healthy and looks good, then you'll roll with the punches and you'll go forward from there, and hopefully things get fixed at the offensive tackle positions. But if Abe looks like what he did last year when he tried to return from injury, then you got a problem and you got to go find some help. I don't expect them to be signing David Bakhtiari today or tomorrow, but if Abraham Lucas does not look quite up to speed, or if there's a setback or gets hurt again, then you better give Bakhtiari a call. That's what I think is the situation there. He's kind of on standby potentially. They need to see what they have in Lucas first, and then potentially they could bring in Bakhtiari from there. Should the Seahawks sign David Bakhtiari? Type S for sign, P for pass. Weigh in our pinned comment today. Let us know if they should sign him or not. Today's show is sponsored by our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose two or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS, and they got a great deal they're offering. They will give you $50 to spend for free when you play $5. You don't even have to win to get the money on Prize Picks, folks. It's simple as that. And this week on Prize Picks, I'm looking ahead to Sunday's matchup between the Seahawks and the Niners. And call me crazy, but I think Geno can throw for more than 253.5 passing yards. I think they're going to contain George Kittle. He's a little banged up too. And I got the injury guarantee. Might as well use it, right? Less than 58.5 receiving yards. I put $20 down on this hit, turns into $60. Play along with me, prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Not LVR writes, if we take a quarterback in the 2025 NFL draft, who do you think we will get? Far too early to tell at this point because the draft order is kind of all over the place right now. I don't think the Seahawks are going to be in a position to have a high pick. They've won too many games at this point, and they're too good to be picking within the top 5. Maybe it's a top 10 pick. If they somehow make it in the playoffs, then that turns into later on in the draft. So it's hard to say. But you look at the top quarterbacks in this draft, you obviously have Cam Ward at Miami. He's my number 1 quarterback in this draft. Shedeur Sanders is my number 2 quarterback. And then from there, it's anyone's ball game. I have some questions, a lot of questions actually, about Quinn Ewers. Carson Beck's stock is plummeting. So I don't know. I would keep tabs on Ward and Shedeur. Shedeur, I think, is more likely than Cam because I think Cam's going to be the first quarterback off the board. But here's the thing with Shedeur. Besides all the shenanigans and everything going on with his father and all that stuff there, who does realistically Shedeur get compared to? I know that he says he thinks he's a combination of Tom Brady and Michael Vick, which is funny because he can't run. But anyway, the comparison that he gets is to Geno Smith. Is that really where you want to go? Like, are we trying to replace Geno with a carbon copy of Geno? I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. So we still got a long ways to go, but the quarterback class is not great. I would like to draft a quarterback if there's a guy that the Seahawks are sold on, but they seem to be few and far between at this point. Justin Goldman. What a name. writes in, any interest in Phil Haynes making a return? The guard spot's a mess right now for Seattle. Like Tomlinson hasn't been good. Anthony Bradford's been terrible. Christian Haynes wasn't even activated the last game. Phil Haynes, I think, is a possibility. He's not much worse than Laken Tomlinson. He's better than Anthony Bradford. He's looking for a job. I don't see how it could hurt you. I would give Phil a call and add some depth, especially if another injury happens at this point. Why not? Why would you not bring back Phil Haynes? I think he's arguably the best guard still available at this point in time. Played in Seattle for a bit. He could be ready to go. I don't think it's a bad idea. Should the Seahawks bring back Phil Haynes? Type Y for yes. In for no. What do you guys think? Weigh in. Let us know. Time for a couple more. Let's start with Charlie the Unicorn writes in. Should Seattle bring in right guard Nate Davis, cut by the Bears today? Nate Davis is terrible. He is bad. I think Phil Haynes is even better than Nate Davis. I would not waste my time, waste my breath, my efforts with Nate Davis. If this team is signing Nate Davis, yikes. Yeah, that's not a great sign. I would stay far away from Nate Davis. He's not a good option there. Tony writes in, Tony the Tiger. Hi, Tyler. What are the chances for the Seahawks winning the NFC West? Hope it goes well for you guys. Tony, we need all the hope we can get. All the hope, the prayers, everything at this point, because the chances don't look great, if we're going to be honest with you right now, because it's not just the Niners anymore, but the Cardinals look good. The Rams are there. It's not impossible, but there's a lot of work to be done at this point in time if Seattle's going to win the division. But I would put it at a less than 15% chance, and I might be generous saying that. Thanks for joining us here on Seahawks Today. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time.